who's as adamant about his or her position as I am about mine, whom you think is sharp. Seriously, we know that. And another thing, we heard him say that, hey sports fans, this is episode number 94 of And Another Thing. If you'd like to become an Eldorado, go to LarryElder.com, fill out the form. You're going to get a free copy of Michael and Me. That's my feature-length documentary where I explore the Second Amendment, where I talk about dictators like Mao and Stalin and how they've used gun control to enslave the masses. And I actually ambush Michael Moore, the director, and I asked Michael Moore 3 times, Mr. Director, how many times do Americans use firearms to defend themselves every year? We know how many times Americans use firearms for bad things. How often do they use a firearm to defend themselves every single year? Mr. Moore had nothing really to say about that, but check it out. Get Michael and me. Now for episode number 94 of And Another Thing. I want to talk about the vote here in Los Angeles, where I am right now, to increase the minimum wage for hotel workers who work for large hotels. I know what you're thinking. If the minimum wage hikes are a good idea, why not hike them for everybody? I don't know. Let's not go there. But they want to hike the minimum wage for people who work for large hotels so that the minimum wage is $15.37 an hour. I went down to City Hall yesterday to find out exactly what was going on, and there was a sea of people wearing these yellow shirts that had been passed out by the union, all demanding that they increase the price to $15.37 an hour for people that work at large hotels that have beds of 300 or more, and then in a little while it'll go down to hotels that have beds of 150 or more, and then, as you well know, in a little while it'll go down to all businesses. Now the irony here is that LA City Council commissioned a report that came out a few months ago to look at the cities and said that LA is facing a decline if there isn't immediate, responsible, dramatic leadership and change in the direction in which the city is going. Specifically, they talked about the fact that small business people complain about the high price of doing business out here. So what do? We increase the price of doing business out here. Here's what these people are doing. The people that demand a higher minimum wage, think of it this way. You walk into a 7-Eleven, you want a Slurpee. You walk up to the guy, and the guy gives you the price. And you go, wait a minute. I have a lot of obligations. I have children. I have college. I have student loans. I have a car note. I'm only going to pay you 25 cents. Is that okay? Charge me based upon what I can afford. Or alternatively, it's like you walk into a 7-Eleven and you say to the guy, I want this Slurpee, but I'll tell you what I'm willing to pay for it once I see your P&L, your profit and loss statement. Let me find out what your profit margin is. If your profit margin is high enough, I'll only pay you a little bit. Your profit margin is low, then I'll pay you more. In other words, pay me what I think I deserve. Think about that. You're welcome for your questions. Thank you, sir. Penny from Hawaiian Gardens. What is the absolute most ironic thing you've seen go on lately? If you mean politics, let me say this. President Obama gave a speech at the United Nations in which he said, you cannot negotiate with terrorists. They've got to be hunted down. They've got to be destroyed. Do you remember the war between Hamas and Israel recently? One of the things that Secretary of State John Kerry said is that Hamas is a legitimate player and Israel needs to negotiate with them. Have you read the Hamas Charter? The Hamas Charter calls for the destruction of the state of Israel. So on the one hand, Obama gives a speech at the United Nations saying that you can't negotiate with terrorists, you got to destroy them. On the other hand, a group that wants to destroy Israel should be sat down and negotiated with. I hope you enjoyed this small excerpt. If you want to see the full video, got to be in Eldorado. Go to my website, LarryElder.com, log in, fill out the form. It'll cost you about $4.75 a month, or about the price of a mocha frappuccino latte at your favorite coffee house. As you can tell, I don't like coffee. I'm a tea drinker. See you next time.